Hello Jeepers and welcome back to the Johnny Cash Memorial Jeep Project. Or, well, not quite. This is probably just the Cash Jeep Project at the moment because unlike Johnny's car, which ended up being free, this is costing a bit of money, but hopefully we're going to end up with something which is one vehicle as opposed to many vehicles in his case. But this week, guys, we are looking at parts, really. I've still got lots of parts out. I went to the blasters this morning to try and get some of the parts which the guy was working on blasted for me, and he hadn't done those yet, so unfortunately we're missing all those bits, which is annoying, but we could look at some other things really. So let's start off then by looking at finishing up those brackets on the frame then. So you know those spring brackets, I finished those off, so let's have a look at that then. It's that time of year already, guys. We're back in the garage in the dark and the cold, so we'll spend a lot of time in here, like most projects then, locked away, hiding away, working on Jeeps and rebuilding it. But that's what happens, unfortunately, in the UK. I mean, you guys in America and Florida and things like that, working just as bad working in 35, 36, 37 degree temperature and high humidity. So, you know, you can't always have it your own way. But here we are, guys. We're working inside. But we're going to finish up welding on these brackets then. This Jeep's pretty lucky because it's going to have a lot of Nos bits on the frame, at least anyway. We've got the Nos Horns at the front, which were really good, so that's nice. And then we've got these Nos Brackets, and there are some other bits as well. These were Cosmoline covered brackets, which was cool. But you can see how close it is to the original Willys there, so it's probably a Willys replacement part there. But it does bring me to the fact that, you know, we are going to run out of Nos parts at some point, guys, which is a shame. And the guys who are making the reproduction parts do need to be supported as well, because we need to get some good stuff created, because they will come when you can't get hold of, you know, simple things like these brackets and what have you, and we'll have to find something else to do. So yeah, interesting. But this bracket, guys, is being bolted on using the hex bolts here. Well, no, not hex bolts at all. You can see what it says there. These are the socket head bolts, 1 inch. They're fantastic. They go in, and then you just put a washer on the other side and a nut and tighten them all up and everything. And then when it's finished, guys, we'll just put some filler in the end here and just to clean it up, so it'll end up looking like these rivets here. And the profile of them is very, very, very similar to these original rivets, better than the horn rivets, the fake ones, which didn't really work, guys. So that's cool. An interesting thing as well, I don't know if we can see here, but I got hold of some washers with it. You can probably see on the end there, these have got that same knurled sort of profile that the original washers have, which is really cool. I used these washers before, and they didn't have that profile, but for some reason this batch which has come through here have that profile which matches the same as the original World War II ones. So that's a neat little thing there. So that's really geeky. I mean, you don't need to match the knurling on your washers if you don't want to, but I think that's pretty cool. But all it's going to be, guys, is 2 dabs of weld on the MB frame. It looks like one along here, one along here, about 1 inch long, and then there's an internal one as well towards the you can just see at the front of that bracket there, there's a blob of weld which is frame weld, and then there's a empty patch. There's one forward bit of 1 inch weld there as well, and that's what holds it together. So 3 welds in total per bracket on this Willys MB mid 44 frame. So we'll do that then, guys. Let's get it going. So there we go then, guys, that's him welded on. That's one of the prettier welds. They weren't all that good, unfortunately, but I find getting access is difficult. You know, the quality of my weld seems to depend on how my access is to it. But it's all welded, which is good, just as it was in World War II. It's riveted, or should I say bolted in there, so that's all excellent. We'll fill those heads in and then reprofile them to match the shape of the originals, and then you'll never know that they've been replaced. Well, you might do, because the rivets, the welds won't look quite as splattery, but otherwise I think that's brackets sorted, guys. That's jobs are good uns. So on to the next project then. So I was pleased with that then, guys. Those brackets went on fine, and they're going to be really good. So the frames, it's coming along very, very nearly completed, really, just final bits and getting it ready for priming and spraying again. But let's have a look down here then. So, you know, we talked about the Chepper shafts, not Rezepa as I said, although I quite like the word Rezepa in comparison to Chepper, but the Chepper shafts to replace my tractor joints. You know, I said I could get hold of the long ones. Well, I got hold of a second long one for cheap price, which is excellent, as apparently they're getting more difficult to find, so I should have probably bought some more really as spares for the future, but there you go. Anyway, we've got hold of 2 long ones. This portion on the front here is the same between the short and the long one, so that's fine. It's just this shaft here which is different, okay? And so what I did is I sourced another long one there, and then once we clean him up, I'm not going to do it yet because we use the Cosmoline to keep it rust-free and everything until we need to actually use it. We'll remove this shaft here, and look at this guy here. Nos. Oh, hello. Nos parts. So a Nos short shaft to go in there. So that will replace that. So that's the Chepper shaft sorted. So that's really good. We won't have any clacking around and any play in those. Another interesting feature, guys, is I managed to get, this was more for the GPW really, but those are the Resepa joint tags there. You can see those are the original Ford ones. Unfortunately, we won't be using those on the MB. It would be nice to get hold of some MB ones, but those are the Ford ones there. My tractor joint had tractor joint tag on it, although I'm not sure where it is at the moment. It's hiding in the garage somewhere, but yeah, we won't be using those. Talking of axles then, guys, we worked on the rear axle as well this week. So let's have a look at what I managed to get done with that rear axle.
Oh yes, guys, there's no two ways about it. Sometimes you've got to get down and do some hard work. So today we're not going to get these axles blasted because I don't want grit getting inside, you know, which could get inside the differential. So I'm going to be cleaning them manually with the cut brush and everything like that, guys. It's a lot of hard work, unfortunately, but it's got to be done. So let's start seeing what we can manage with this and see if this is going to work or not. Wish me luck. Right, guys, a couple of hours later, and you can see why Jeeps are quite expensive sometimes, because you have to put a lot of work in if you're going to clean them up. So yeah, I quite enjoy doing this really, so it's not really a chore for me. But just using the wire wheels and brushes and things like that, guys, obviously they've got radiuses, so it's difficult to get into all of the areas. So this has been cleaned up a lot, but there are still areas which I'll work on at another point to get right in there. But really this stuff doesn't matter because that's just some of the old leftover paint. It's not crud or anything like that, and the primer will go over that and it's no problem. But this is a really nice casting actually, guys. You can see it's being cleaned up. You can see the sort of gold colour there as it's starting to oxidise and rust already as soon as it gets wet. It's amazing. So we'll try and dry this off as much as possible and spray it with something to protect it, but it's quite cool to see that. That's rust forming there already. But let's spin him over with that and falling over. Yeah, nice inside, guys, really clean. Looks as though this one possibly had a failure at some point. You can see the scraping down there, so maybe this one had a differential which blew up. But there you go. That's manual cleaning for a couple of hours, guys. So it does do good results really, and there's no grit stuck in it or anything like that. It's nice and, you know, perfectly clean, but it is going to start to rust, so we need to dry it off then.
So as this is a parts Jeeps, guys, lots of parts keep on coming through to me. I keep on receiving stuff in the mail all the time, which is quite entertaining. But at the same time, you end up paying a hell of a lot on postage. So it's yeah, it's an interesting way of putting together a Jeep. But I got some more bits the other day, so let's have a quick look at that then.
I said it before previously, guys. I always love it when a company sends you items well packed and everything like that. We had it with the TAS parts. They were really excellent, and the same sort of thing goes for these guys in the Netherlands who send over this stuff. They pack it up really nicely, and they've got oh, baby with a knife, armed baby, maybe not. They always package it up really nicely, and look, they've got all this. They've had all this stickers and everything made for it, which is really awesome because it shows that, you know, the company's got quality products and they care about their customers. And the same thing, you know, like I said, yeah, with the TAS stuff, the quality of that was excellent, and their packaging and everything was excellent. So it just shows, you know, already when you're opening stuff that you're getting some good quality stuff. So let's have a look at what we got inside this parcel then from the Netherlands. I think this has turned into a family experience here, taking this apart. Let's have a look at what we've been sent today. Oh no, I have to clean this all up. Oh, I can see old looking things. There you go, look at that, guys. This isn't, it's not possibly the best one you can get for this vehicle, but this is a filterette for it, the DEG filterette. I think it's mostly correct for a 43, but perhaps not perfectly correct, but it should do, especially as it's NOS. You know, we're going for this factory rebuild on this, guys. This should be pretty good. Let's delve deeper in here and see what else we got.
Yeah, guys, so the other thing I got from this order, or one of the things, was some beautiful spring pins, okay? So we've done all this work to the brackets and everything, and they're all nice and tight and good and stuff like that. But there's really no point then if we put in worn out springs in it, and this is the part of the problem, you know, I had with buying an old unrestored Jeep, is that many things I'd have to replace. So you can see this pin here is just freely rotating. It should have, there's some splines built in there. It should be drawn in and grab and not rotate. So this one's free to rock around and spin around and everything like that. So your suspension would slowly get more and more worn out, and you can see the sort of damage that it puts into the side of the bracket there,
whereas this is one of the reproductions here fitted into the original replacement bracket, and you can't, you know, you have to draw it in there. Oh dear. You have to draw it in there with the nut on the end. That's how tight it is. So there's going to be no movement in the suspension whatsoever. It's going to be exactly how it should be, which is what I want. So I'm really pleased with those. They look beautiful, really. These are very nicely manufactured looking pins, guys. So yeah, good high quality repro stuff. Happy with that. Suspension's going to be great. So what other parts have we been collecting then, guys? So it's interesting. You're receiving Nos stuff, right? Not all Nos stuff is Nos. You can sometimes receive stuff in Cosmoline, like this pinion here for the differential, which is in Cosmoline, but actually it could be a good used part, which has been removed by the military and then wrapped in Cosmoline and stored for a later date. And this is what this is, I believe, anyway. It shows a tiny bit of wear and a tiny bit of pitting on it, which could be storage pitting, but it's possibly usage, a little bit of rust from usage, I'm not sure. But I believe this not to be totally Nos, although it came in a Cosmoline wax wrap package. I think it's been used, taken apart and then stored. I think this is from Greece. Was this from Greece or the Ukraine? I can't remember. But I don't think it's Nos. So remember, not everything which comes in wax paper can be Nos. Some of it has been used previously. So that's just an interesting aside there. You guys know that the tappets I use in this will be the Ford original tappets, which were coming out slightly undersized, weirdly, but this is how they come, you know, original Ford packaging, so that's pretty cool. We also got hold of the timing gear for the timing chain there. This guy hiding in his box, this is how he came. It's got a slight bit of surface corrosion. It's an August 45 gear, which is pretty cool, but that'll work pretty well, so I'm pleased with that, so he'll be going in the Jeep nicely. We've got a Nos trailer socket sorted out, guys, which is nice, as they get a bit corroded in the back there and often ripped out, so that's cool. So he's ready to go. Also sorted out my circuit breakers as well, the 15 and the 5 amp Clixons. I think they're 15 and 5, aren't they? Yeah, that's 5, and this is the 15 back there, yeah. So I got those sorted out. They're Nos again, which is nice. I believe the 5 amp is a Studebaker 6x6 part, which comes in a little wrapping like this. That's pretty cool. They're getting difficult to get hold of, these little circuit breakers, but they are available out there. You can find them. Just know how to have to get hold of them. So that's that sorted out, which is good. Other electrical bits as well, guys. Sorted out some used but good battery terminals. So that's cool, the battery cables. This is, you know, with the correct sheathing on it as well, and the little guy here as well. You know, it's worn, it'll clean up, but, you know, it's nice to have the original stuff here, which is still usable and still looks acceptable, which is good. Other electrical things as well, guys. You can tell me if this is right or not. I believe it is. Looks fine, this push-pull switch then, rather than the late rotary type light switch, which I quite like, actually. I prefer that. You get this weird contraption on the earlier one, so I've got hold of this guy here. For not very much, which is good. So I've got a light switch sorted as well, I hope, which is excellent. Another eBay purchase then. Well, most of them are eBay purchases, really, guys. Latches in case the windscreen I get doesn't have them. They're really nice. Also the thumb screws. The stamped and reinforced selector for my transmission, which is good. The engine was missing the oil pickup, so we've got hold of an oil pickup there, original one, which is good. First aid kit for when that comes to it, that's a long way down the road yet. Original door, glove box latch, which is pretty cool. And then some more Nos stuff. These are the spindle, the axle spindle brass sort of bushings in here, so we'll see how those turn out. We'll get those out. They're looking a bit manky, but should be okay. And then first of the D-shaped latches for the hood, which is good. So that looks like a nice World War II one, so I'm pleased with that, as they're not so easy to get hold of sometimes. And this one's pretty solid, seems to work nicely, so that's really cool. So that's 1 down out of 4. Jeez. And then I've got hold of my Speedo, which we'll use on this guy. It's got a lovely face on it, but it isn't working. It's getting stuck. And there is some metal sort of showing in there, some sort of shavings. I don't know if you guys can see around the 0. Can you see there's also marking there as well? Now, the face hasn't been off it. You know, when you take these apart, you've got to pry the face off it around the side there. And when you pry it off, you can see where people have pried it, and you undo the screws and everything. But it doesn't look like it's come apart, but somehow the needle looks as though it's rubbed there around the 0 mark, which is kind of weird, because you'd think it would only do that if someone had been in there and bent it, or something weird had gone on there. So I'm really not sure. So
I'm interested to see what delights that holds inside, but it's got a lovely face on it, so if we have to get hold of a spare, another one to make a good one, you know, make one good one out of two, at least I've got a good face and good digits by the looks of it, so and a good needle, so you know, we've got a start there on a Speedo, which is pretty good, so that's nice. Would be better if it was a bit cheaper. It wasn't too expensive, but it wasn't the cheapest either. And then here we go, this is nice, often missing as well when you buy your Jeep, you know, your Jeep for restoration, they're often missing a tyre rest, and this looks like a nice tyre rest, you know, really solid, not dent, not damaged. Probably got the original paint under here, so that's really cool. So there's a lot of cool bits here, guys. We've been purchasing bits and bobs. You know, they're all bits, of course, and they're all not in their completed form. There's a lot of work to do to them yet, but we will get there, I think. Slowly but surely, there's going to be a lot of buying stuff like this, guys. It's a long process. Here's these bushings, guys. It's a good job they're made out of brass or bronze or whatever, because if they're made out of steel, they won't have survived, because the storage these guys have been in hasn't been great. But should we see what's going on in here? Oh God. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Yeah, fortunately not made of steel, so they've survived. Look, they didn't even put Cosmoline on them. There's a bit of greasiness on them. But yeah, there we go. Some more NOS parts for it. Should we have a look inside this filterette as well? As I said, guys, possibly not totally correct for a 43, but still, it is still correct, but not the best correct, I don't think. But let's have a look inside this NOS packaging then and see what's lurking inside. Yeah, at the end of the day, guys, this stuff was made to be used, you know, whether it was used by me or whether it was used, you know, in 2018 or whether it was used in 1952 when it was first made. It's neither here nor there. It's fulfilling its destiny. So let's see if we can get this guy in single-handedly, left-handedly. Yeah. Ooh. Here we go, should we have a look inside what the filterette looks like, which has been stored like that. You'd think it should look pretty good, shouldn't be any corrosion really, all the wax paper was intact and everything, so, right, let's have a look. Ooh, look at that. Yes, lovely. So you can see this says it's the 1107 DEG filterette, so not the really early one or the Willys one or anything like that, but still pretty good. You get a box of something. Looks like there's washers in there or something like that. First person to touch it in all those years. Yeah, it's wow. Jeez, look at that, guys. That's cool, isn't it? Brand new filterette. Waited all these years to be used. Very cool. And in the package, guys, I thought it might be bolts actually to hold the filterette on. You know, I thought they might put some tooth washers in there or something like that because they were really keen on having correct grounding and everything. But actually, it is there's 6 little bolts in there, and these are the guys which go on the actual filterette capacitors inside. There he is. That's him, little tooth washer there. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah, nice that, guys. Nice bit of NOS work. It really is NOS, that. Lovely. Yeah, guys, that's it for this week then. Just a couple of little bits then, just some parts so you can see what I'm getting up to. Still working away, so we're moving on here. Should get the bits back from the blasters next week, so that should be awesome. We can see some really good stuff, and we'll continue working on with those axles. You know, that one's cleaned up now, so really, when we get a good day, I should get on with painting it. But now it's winter, as I said, as you guys know, it's getting cool out here, so getting more difficult to paint, so it becomes a bit of a problem, but we'll see. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.